The room went silent right after I said those two words. What, money? The music died. Forks froze in midair. And my estranged father, who hadn't stood in the same room as my mother for years, looked like he'd just been punched. He glanced at her, then at my stepdad. Both of them flinched before they could hide it. I watched the color drain from their faces. Slow, visible, beautiful. My dad's expression hardened with suspicion. My mom's tightened with guilt she couldn't mask. My stepdad looked like he was calculating exit routes. And then the front door opened. Every head turned. My lawyer stepped inside like he'd been invited to a show he'd already seen the ending of. That was the moment everything shifted. And I hadn't even cut the birthday cake yet. Growing up, my mother loved two things: control and appearances. I was just an extension of her reflection, useful when polished, ignored when inconvenient. My stepdad? He was a shadow with a wallet. Nothing more, nothing less. They never cared if I felt heard or understood. They cared that I didn't disrupt the illusion. I spent my childhood walking on glass. When I got into college, they celebrated, not because they were proud, but because they could brag. They promised full support. They called themselves generous. Generous. Meanwhile, I worked 2 jobs to afford my first semester, then 3 to afford the next. Every time I asked about the money they'd promised, my mother dismissed it. "We can't pay yet. You're an adult now. You should be independent." My stepdad echoed her like a broken speaker. I always wondered why the shift happened, how I became an inconvenience overnight. Now I know. My dad and I weren't close. After the divorce, Mom made sure of that. But he showed up at my party, unexpected, awkward, trying. Then he asked that question: "Did that $40K for college tuition serve you well?" The room turned into ice. $40,000. Money he apparently sent directly to my mother. Money I never saw. Money I bled for in overtime shifts, thinking I had no choice. My parents tried to recover quickly. Mom laughed too loudly. "Honey, he must be confused." My stepdad nodded eagerly. "Yes, yes, misunderstanding." But their eyes betrayed them. My dad looked at me again, slowly this time. "You didn't get it?" My heart didn't drop. It sharpened. "No," I said, "I didn't." And the room trembled with the truth I'd waited years to find. The thing about being the quiet one, people assume you're harmless. But I pay attention, I observe, and I plan. Months before this moment, long before I knew about the $40K, I'd grown tired of the inconsistencies, their financial swings, their secretive whispers, their frantic mood swings every time the mail arrived. So I started digging. Bank statements, old files, account transfers. I collected everything, quietly. Then I took it to a lawyer. We built the case piece by piece. Fraud, misappropriation, parental financial abuse, even tax discrepancies based on the lies they filed. All we needed was a trigger. My dad's question was more than a trigger. It was a confession. So when he asked if he should be there for the next part, I simply nodded. And I texted my lawyer one word: now. My lawyer walked into the living room like a surgeon entering an operating room. My mom stiffened. My stepdad swallowed hard. My dad crossed his arms. Ready. "Mrs. and Mr. Harlan," my lawyer began, "we need to discuss the $40,000 intended for educational purposes that was unlawfully diverted." My mom shot up from her seat. "This is not the time!" "It's been years," I replied calmly. "It's exactly the time." My stepdad tried to mask his panic with outrage. "You planned this? At your own party?" I held his gaze. "You stole my education. Least I can do is steal back a little ambience." My mom's voice cracked. We used that money for the house, for the family. For yourselves, I corrected. She tried to approach me, but my dad stepped between us, protective in a way I'd never seen. Did you steal our child's tuition? He demanded. Silence. A trembling, guilty silence. My lawyer set the folder on the table. Significant evidence shows misappropriation. Also, tax fraud due to misreported income, and filing dependents incorrectly. Their faces collapsed. However, he continued, there is a settlement option. My mom whispered, What settlement? I answered for him. You repay every cent you stole, with interest. And you transfer the house into my name. My stepdad's jaw dropped. That's extortion. That's justice, I said. My dad spoke next, voice steady. If you don't agree, I'll testify, and I'll reopen custody fraud from years ago. We can see how deep this goes. That broke them. My mother folded into the couch, shaking. My stepdad looked at the floor like it was pulling him under. My lawyer slid the documents across the table. They didn't even argue, not really. They knew the game was over. My stepdad signed first, hand trembling. My mother hesitated, then broke. Her signature looked more like a surrender note. And with ink and silence, everything they'd stolen began returning to me. Legally, cleanly, quietly, devastating. People drifted out after that. The party died in whispers. But I stayed. My dad stayed too. We sat together on the patio, the night air cool against the aftermath. You deserved better, he said quietly. I know, I replied. He didn't push, he didn't pry. He just stayed present, something no one else ever bothered to do. Inside, my mother cried softly. My stepdad made frantic phone calls. The empire they built on lies was collapsing brick by brick. But I felt light, for the first time in years. Not because I won, because I reclaimed myself. Silent revenge doesn't roar, it whispers. And mine whispered one truth. I'm done surviving their choices. Now they can survive mine.